Hello, so in today's video we are going to look at the French ARFA gas mask or respirator. Now I'm going to say that name at the beginning because I'm going to probably forget it throughout the video because it's one of those masks that has a name to me that just doesn't stick in my brain very well. So it actually comes in, I think, a really nice haversack. Some people apparently don't like this bag, but I really like it. It's a Velcro one that does up. It's got bits on each side. And then there's the mask. Now apparently this is the French Foreign Legion variant because it's in sort of a tan rubber. But we'll get onto that in a second because I don't know if that's actually necessarily true or if they just made versions of this in yellow, sort of this colour, yellow brown, and in a sort of dark green black colour, because from what I'd kind of guess is that they made two colour variants of the mask depending on if it was expected to be used in a desert country or sort of a woodland location. So we'll go into this mask, but a lot of you will be very familiar with this mask because it's the mask the Polish MP5 is a licensed copy of. There are some slight differences between them, some of them actually quite major, but anyway, so just so you detach them, because this is quite interesting, there's a Draeger filter in there. As this one's still sealed, I'll put this in my filter drawer in a minute. And weirdly, at the bottom of the bag, there is a piece of plastic like this, which is to keep the shape of the bag. So if you wanted the bag to fold up smaller, you'd take that out. If you wanted the bag to retain its shape, which I think is quite nice, you put that at the bottom and that just keeps the shape of the bag from crushing in on itself, which is actually quite a good feature. So here we go. Here is the French ARFA, did I say it was? So yeah, if you're familiar with the MP5 you'll be familiar with this mask. So it's got the voice diaphragm at the front there, fairly decent voice diaphragm. It's got your exhale valve on the side there. You've got your drinking tube connector under there with a nice little rubber thing that covers it. The drinking tubes actually are quite good on these series of masks. And you've got your filter intake there, 40mm NATO. So that's the inside of the mask. So as far as I'm aware, this mask has a lot of the similar problems the MP5 has, as in clouding, sort of milking, whatever you want to call it, to the lenses where they become discoloured over time. But overall that's what the mask looks like inside. Now, compared to the MP5, there's something quite strange with this, which I'll show you in a minute, and I'm not sure if this is a deliberate design choice or it's where, you know, like the rubber's not aged well over time. Bits of this mask feel a lot more firm and hard plasticky, if you hear me tapping on that, than the MP5 does, to the point I can't work out if this is just the rubber has aged horribly, or if this was an on-purpose design choice. Now, if it's an on-purpose design choice, the obvious thing would be that bits of the mask would stay solid, which you kind of want with a mask. They're not going to bend in. The problem is it's quite uncomfortable to have a mask where bits of it are just like a solid hard plastic rather than soft rubber. So if I just get the Polish MP5 out of this bag, we will compare the two side by side. So there is a Polish MP5 and here is the French ARFA. So as you can see, they're pretty much identical other than the colour. In terms of stuff like that, the voice diaphragm cover is different on each one. Looking on the inside of the mask, they're actually both the same in there. I thought the Tissot tube system may have been different, but it is actually identical. But what is interesting is if I feel the rubber on these. So for example, like I was saying on this one, that feels like hard plastic almost there, and hard plastic there. Whereas on the MP5, that's definitely softer rubber there, and softer rubber there. So if I was to put them on, I definitely think the MP5 is more comfortable. Now, one of the very bad things about this mask is, although I kind of like the strap system where they clip on over your ears, it's a very bad adjustable strap system. I already broke one of these once and had to put this back together, but basically you've got kind of like a weird buckle system that keeps the strap in place, and it's quite easy for that to ping off. Not very good if you're in the field, because then your mask won't do it properly. So let's put this on. So I've pre-adjusted the strap so it should make a good fit for me. There we go. It's not perfect, but I don't really want to mess around with these straps too much in case I break the mask. As you can see, my eyes are lined up properly with the bit they should be. So let me just put the filter I've got with my MP5 on there. This is just a mask hole filter. An FP211 that's normalised, but it should still fit. Yeah, it seems to be pressurising. Let's just get the banana oil. And we will see if that's airtight. Oh, I can smell it coming through there, actually. So I'd assume the exhale valve was slightly damaged on this. Interesting, I think the valve sticks. The lenses and everything seem alright. Right, let's take this one off now and do the MP5. Yeah, so a bit of history. This was a mask France designed in the 90s, because even into the 90s the French army was still using the M51 and the M53 variant of it. So you can see some pictures of some poor bloody French soldiers where they've got some really over sort of heavy NBC gear on in the Gulf War in the 90s, like 1991, whenever it was, and they've got the old M51s on with the old asbestos filters. So they're lugging around these horrible heavy NBC suits, but the mask and filters would give them no protection just due to age. So, yeah, they came up with that design anyway to replace it. So it has a similar strap system, as said, to the M51, because it has those ones that hook over the back. So let's just try the Polish MP5 and just see how they compare in terms of comfort and everything. Okay, I would say actually the Polish MP5 is more comfortable, but again that's just because it's softer rubber. Where the this mask has the harder rubber, this rubber is softer. I don't know if that's all that obvious from me poking the masks, but although I think it's slightly less distortive the sort of lens on this one. Although the MP5, my MP5's obviously got a clearer lens. So let's see if this exhale valve has the same problem, because I don't know if I've ever tested this properly before. No, this one's absolutely fine. So I'm assuming that my French one has maybe some issues with the valve there. I don't know if we can get at that all that easily just to show you, but obviously that's the exhale valve on the inside of it there, if you can see that. But whether or not the cover of this actually comes off, I don't know. I don't want to really force anything and damage the mask further. But it might just be that obviously as valves get old, there we go. So I think what it might just be of this valve is that maybe it doesn't quite close up properly every time. Yeah, that's it. You can see there. I don't know how obvious that is, that when you peel that back and put it back so it doesn't sit flush, it's a bit like the problem the early M50s had with the self-sealing bit. So again, if you got a new umbrella valve, you could fix that fairly easily. I think if this works like most umbrella valves, you could probably pull this bit out. I don't really want to do it, but you could obviously pull the umbrella valve out there and just replace it quite easily. But yeah, that seems to be what the issue is. Just seems to be due to the age of the rubber. As you can see, it doesn't seal as well as it should do there. It would actually help with some of these if they had a bit of something that keeps tension on the edge of there, just so when you exhale the valve can open. Like, it's not force close obviously, because then it would be pointless having an exhale valve, but there's a bit of tension on there, so it keeps it kind of retained in that position a bit better. So there's that back on there, and let's just have a look at the MP5's one. Interestingly, the MP5's cover has a bit at the bottom to make it easier to pull off. So that was thoughtful of them. Yeah, exact same valve system on this one, but obviously on my Polish one it just stays closed properly. It's a bit springier look. I don't know if that's just because it's newer rubber, and it also just could be because maybe the Poles made it out of a better rubber than the French did. Who knows? Anyway, so these masks are turning up on the surplus market for about £30 to £40 now in the UK. So how does it compare to the Polish MP5, considering that they're more expensive than the MP5? Well, the MP5 to me seems a bit better, just because it's the exact same mask design really, except for the MP5 is made out of a better rubber. But again, I can't completely put that down to the rubber. It may just be because this mask is aged, it's dried out. But I've never had a mask dry out and kind of turn into plastic, so I don't know. But yeah, the bag is very good for this at least. I really like the bag. Apparently some versions of the MP5 come with a bag like this that's just in green, but mine didn't, so you know, I can't comment on that, but this is a very nice bag. I've heard people say these are horrible bags. I can't understand why. Because, you know, they are pretty robust. They're made from a nice waterproof material. This would be a really good just sort of like bag for having on, you know, like your side with a strap on it if you wanted it just a carrying bag or something. And the Draeger filter, seeing if there's a production date on here. It's an A2B2E2K1P3, so technically an NBC filter. So there you can see that on there. So just to let you know, for the people who asked me about before, ABEC 2, although this is an ABEC 2 Cat 1 P3, is technically NBC. I was saying, buying an ABEC filter is basically the same thing as buying an NBC filter. But was there a production date on here? It says ARSD on there, which I kind of find funny, because ARSD is almost like asked, like you can't be asked. But is there a production date on this filter? That's the bit I'm more interested in, just to see if I have an idea of how old the filter itself is. I can't see one, obviously. I mean, where it says 02 in a couple of places, this filter could be from 2002. So, yeah, there you go. That's my opinions on the French ARFA, or whatever the bloody hell I said it was. Yeah, it seems alright, but there's lots of better surplus masks on the market than this one. It looks cool. It would definitely be good as a costume mask, I think. But I'd actually say, personally, out of feeling the two, at least from the examples I've got, the Polish MP5 is better. But I suppose for some people it could be the exact opposite way round, where they get an MP5 that ends up being in bad, sort of dried out condition, and they get one of these that's pristine in really good condition. But regardless, it's an interesting mask, but, you know, not the greatest design mask in the world, but not terrible really, to be honest.